Good afternoon, Cedarfield family. This is Michael Shaw. Happy Thursday to everybody. Thank you for tuning into this live stream. We appreciate your attentiveness. We have a couple of key announcements this afternoon. And the format of this live stream, we're going to try to keep it to about 35-40 minutes because we have to reset our set here in Fellowship Hall for a service here at 4 o'clock. So a couple of administrative things to review. We have another segment of Navigating COVID-19 with Dan Hopper, and has one very important illustration to show all of us. And then Matt Dameron will be with us to talk about some more preparedness plans. There's some very good news we would like to share with residents, and then we'll wrap it up with Annie, who has some spiritual help for us. So, at first, I just wanted to acknowledge that we're in a pretty important week for many people, starting with Passover. Yesterday, April 8th, at sundown was the beginning of Passover. This 8-day festival is observed by cultural and religious Jews around the world, and we want you to know, the Jewish population here at Cedarfield, that we are with you throughout these next 8 days. Those of you that do not know, central to the Passover is the Seder, which is inviting guests, commonly who are less fortunate or without family. And some people, it's really heartwarming, some people are dropping off Seder boxes at doors, and others that are not left behind. Folks are actually having virtual Seders. It's not just about maintaining normalcy in a time where, quite frankly, many people don't have any, but it's about sustaining time with the Jewish folks who are here at this campus as a group of people, celebrating that this is really an important tradition for our Jewish population, and that we recognize the significance of it, in particularly this holiday, that we have a stronger obligation to keep it and maintain it, to share it and not forget it. And then Easter is here this week. For our Christian population here at Cedarfield, as many of you know, that since we have family not in Richmond, or we are restricted to a lot of the visitation, I know many people really don't know what video conferencing is, or this new term that just came into our world in the last couple of months called Zooming. But we do have the old-fashioned telephone, but it strikes me that Easter, within this context of the time of year, the solar year, the equinox, where there's an equal period of light and darkness, the coming of spring is often, to me, met with excitement, as it means an end to cold days in winter, although we didn't really have a very cold winter here. But spring also reminds me of things coming back, a rebirth. Just waking up this morning and taking the dog for a walk, the chirping of all the birds and plant life and trees all coming back, giving symbolism to new life and rebirth. And it's only natural that we also celebrate the resurrection. Whether you're of the Jewish faith, the Christian faith, or of any faith, it's a really important week that I think we're all coming together to celebrate those less fortunate. We're all coming together to celebrate what God has created for us around this beautiful campus called Cedarfield. I hope you all take time to reflect, if nothing else, just reflect and enjoy the natural beauty of this campus. Next on my agenda has to do with the Virginia governor. He really didn't have much to say new to our long-term care industry, but the Department of Health had something striking to tell some providers this morning on a call, where there's, they're constantly looking at different modeling around the world, and more specifically now here in the Commonwealth, given the number of cases that hospitals are seeing, the number of confirmed cases, and all of that is translating to, we keep talking about flattening the curve, and there is some modeling based out of the database, the model out of London. The Stanford model is suggesting that here, given a slight decrease that we've seen over the last 24 hours and the pattern of data over the last week, that we might be climbing that flattening the curve here in the next 12 days compared to further into May. So that was some encouraging news that I was privy to talking to the Department of Health. Okay, next up is our Navigating COVID-19. Ann Hopper has some important information about masks. And so I'm going to turn over the mic to Ann Hopper. We're going to zoom in a little bit more closely on Ann, so she can review with everybody how critically it is important of how you put on a mask, how you take it off, and when you take it off, what do you do with it?
You might have to hold it. The microphone.
I can hold it.
Yeah. Your microphone?
This one.
All right. Okay, I have a few different masks to put on. There's a lot of cloth masks that are out there. Some people have the surgical mask in a cloth mask. You don't have to have a surgical mask in a cloth mask. So let's just say this is just a standard cloth mask. You put it on over your nose and your mouth. I've seen people like this, and I've seen people like this.
And touching like it.
And people are really touching these masks. And when your nose and mouth are covered, what do you touch? The eyes. This is a great thing to put on over the mask, or glasses, and that protects you too. And what we're really trying to do is protect the people outside. When we cough or I sneeze, those droplets are not going to come on you. All right, here's another one. This is just a plain surgical mask. The bright color goes on the outside. You want to pull it up and down, and there's a little wire, and you pinch that wire right across your nose. You don't leave it flat. You're trying to put a nice barrier. So you pinch it as hard as you can, you pull it down over your chin. Once again, the glasses help. And you have to get used to it. Talking, breathing, it's not something that's natural. But and you can breathe through it, but it's different. Michael has a few different masks, and the cloth ones even take getting used to, because when you breathe in, sometimes that mask goes with you. It just takes time. Initially, you could be like, can I breathe? You can, it's just not what we're used to. Some of you have an N95 or even these 3M masks. You know, they're just a little bit more contoured, I guess. If you have 2 straps, no crossing over. I guess I should have taken off my glasses. This one takes a little bit. The hairstyle goes out the window with these masks. Ladies, don't worry about your hair. You want to be safe. Once again, you pinch it over your nose, Some people don't have the metal. Just keep it so that it's over your nose, at the bridge, and then under your chin. And once again, you're good to go. And I really recommend glasses. A lot of us have them, and I think that really helps for staying away from your eyes. And this is pretty much what the mandate is. We just got an email from Michael. Team members, caregivers, private duty, we have to wear these masks when we're out and about. And the governor recommended, didn't he strongly recommend it yesterday, that we wear masks. So that's the way you'll see all of us from now on.
That's great. Great, Ann, thank you so much. Hopefully that puts some more color commentary to the proper way of putting on a mask and taking it off. As Ann had mentioned, touching the face of that mask is putting more germs on top of that mask. So if you find yourselves constantly touching the face of the mask, we do recommend, and so does CDC, recommend that you go through some sterilization. If it's a cloth mask, you can certainly just put some soap and warm water on that mask, wring it out, and then hang it up so that you're ready to go next time you're out.
That's right, they have to wash them every day.
Yeah, it's actually recommended that we wash these cloth masks, no matter if you have a bandana, if you're using a scarf, if you've made a mask out of 2 pieces of material, 100% cotton, it's critical that we wash that mask every day. I just love to always end our COVID-19, navigating COVID-19 with an Ann Hopper quote. You're not stuck at home, you are safe at home. Okay, next up, a little bit about our preparedness plan. And Matt, do you have a couple minutes? There he is, Matt's in the green room. So last night, we were talking with the Department of Health here in Virginia, and they came up with a couple of items that they are strongly mandating that long-term care communities adhere to. We're going to mention a couple of them and let you know what we're actually doing about them. The first mandate that they had communicated was that we restrict the sharing of staff between their words, units, our word, neighborhoods, and facilities within or outside of Cedarfield. So, it was comforting to Matt and I and the rest of the leadership team on some level that the Department of Health was just recognizing this item as of last night, but yet, Matt?
Right, we have been doing that for quite a while. And on the vast majority of our people have been separated out into our different households and neighborhoods for quite a while now, just based on this neighborhood model. So we were kind of ahead of the game when it came to that. And I think I mentioned yesterday, we did have a few people, kind of our temporary, or not temporary, I apologize. We call them PRN, so they're very part-time people that pick up shifts for us. We did have a few of those that were going from one neighborhood to another, but effective now. We have stopped that. We have worked out a schedule to where everyone stays in their respective area so that we are drastically reducing that cross-contamination.
The second thing that they recommended, strongly mandated last night, was restricting all residents to their room and enforcing social distancing. Continue to cancel community activities and dining.
Yep, and that's
What have we been doing in our license areas?
So we're kind of ahead of the game on that one as well, which is nice. Our residents in healthcare, assisted living, and Sunshine Plaza eat in their rooms, very similar to everyone on the independent living side. We do have certain residents that need assistance with eating, and but they are in a specific place, socially distanced apart. We even have little markers on the floor right now to make sure that we're keeping people at least 6 feet apart. And we are making sure that they are staying within their respective neighborhoods, their households, and same with the programs and group activities. We have not been doing those for quite a while, and we are doing individual programming with residents and taking a lot of precautions before we go into a resident's room.
That's great. The third item that they recommended last night was restrict points of access to your community and ensure that everyone is being screened for a fever.
Right.
So we have the gatehouse.
Right, we have the gatehouse.
We've been doing that for at least 4 or 5 weeks now.
Right.
And then as of a few days ago, we started providing temperatures for every resident.
Correct.
Healthcare.
We are taking at least daily temperatures for every resident in the licensed portion of our building, which is part of their recommendation now. So we are doing that just again to keep ahead of the game and make sure we catch things before they become an issue.
So speaking of restricting access to Cedarfield, once folks come into the gate, team members, private duty personnel, agency folks, as of today, we now have different entrances for, you want to talk a little bit about that? So
Correct.
Give people some comfort?
Correct. So based on some recommendations, we are really trying to divide where our team members come into the building because there are a couple of points that even I use on an everyday basis. Pretty much every day I come up that ramp at the back of the building. That's how I start my day, but we have a lot of people that are using the exact same entrances. So if someone were to have this virus, we would have to track back basically every person that has gone in that person's footsteps. So that would be very difficult and affect a lot of people. So what we've decided to do is have different entrances for different areas of the building. So upstairs, we're dividing out so that different households, they can come in different areas and don't have to cross paths with other team members from other households. Same with Sunshine Plaza and the same with assisted living. So we've started doing that today, and I think we have a pretty good plan for it.
Good. The last item they recommended, or strongly mandated, was that we implement the use of face masks for all healthcare workers. So we've been, thanks to Operation Mask.
Yes, very much so. It's incredible, the amount of masks that you all have helped us make. It truly is. And all of our team members now, over in the licensed portion of the building, have a mask. Our private duties that are still there have masks. So yeah, everyone is putting one on and getting protected.
And those of you that, team members that are listening to this live stream, thank you to all of you who have been making masks. Particularly, we have 4 seamstresses in the dining services department that have been making masks for all of the folks in that department, which equates to about 92 people. So we feel confident that at least everyone, a healthcare worker, as the Department of Health, quote unquote, defines it, everyone has a cloth mask. So, good. One last tidbit about preparedness plan. Ann Hopper, Lori Shepard, Bonnie Berry, and Amber in Helping Hands, we went through a live drill this morning at 9 o'clock. It was just fascinating going through that drill. We learned a lot about the policies that we put in place, and while we were going through that drill, we kept asking ourselves a couple more questions about what to do in certain situations. So it was great to, that test case in theory is now at the hospital. We're gonna wait for that person it's actually Mr. No, it wasn't Spider-Man. Anyway, drawing a blank. That person will come back from the hospital tomorrow morning, and then we're gonna go over the next 14 days as treating that person as if they have COVID-19, but it's all a test. Those of you that saw us in the hallway this morning, it was a complete test. We're just doing drills so that we get more comfortable with our protocols and our practices. So, and it just so happened, here's the irony, I don't know if you know this, it just so happened that after we finished the drill, we actually had a 911 call.
Oh, really?
It was, and it happened to be in a very close proximity to the drill on a different floor.
Oh, wow.
And so the paramedics showed up an hour later for this particular resident, and we were able to utilize a lot of what we just practiced in that drill to take care of a resident. The resident did not have any symptoms of COVID-19. They had to go to the hospital for other reasons. But we used the same practices that we drilled on an hour earlier. It was just, and we learned a lot by connecting with the paramedics and fire rescue in that exchange of how that resident got from the apartment actually into the ambulance.
Because their processes have changed quite a bit as well. So
Believe me,
it's
their
great.
processes have changed dramatically. So I feel like we are now part of the paramedics team, a little bit more involved with their process. So, great. Have anything else?
I think that's it.
That's it? Okay, great. Thank you, Matt. A couple other administrative tidbits. Yesterday, I did make an announcement that yesterday I made the announcement that today you would be getting a flyer in your meal delivery bag tonight about the water detention system project that will commence on Monday. And time and details about a whole variety of other things just got ahead of me, and I was not able to put that flyer together or that a picture. I'm utilizing PowerPoint to put a picture together to give people a visual of what this project will entail. So I promise over the next day or so, you will get that memo and that visual so you all can see it and read about it before the project actually commences on Monday. Couple of updates about transportation. Our drop-off supply shuttle program will kick back up tomorrow for those of you that are in assisted living, Sunshine Plaza Memory Support, and or the health center. Those that lived in cottages took advantage of that program yesterday, and all reports are that it went very smoothly. And then today was the last day for the supermarket shopping with Ann Reed, and things went very smoothly over the last couple of days. So we'll kick that program back up on Monday. With that, just want to emphasize, currently at Cedarfield, we do not have any known cases of COVID-19 at this time. I do want to say though, given all the reports I hear from the Department of Health, listening to the Virginia Coalition of Healthcare, we keep saying that there are no known cases, and I feel like I'm giving a false sense of hope to folks that we're never going to get it. So although we don't have any cases at Cedarfield at this time, I do want to emphasize that it's not a matter of if, it is a matter of when, because of how widespread this virus is. So that's why we're preparing and practicing so we get comfortable of when it actually happens. If you could please, especially over this next couple of days as we're celebrating Passover and just keeping in our thoughts and prayers the less fortunate. As we're talking about Easter over the next couple of days and rebirth, could you please keep in your prayers those retirement communities, those nursing homes, those assisted living communities, the rehab outpatient centers that are in and around this area that do have cases. Because I can tell you, when we go through our first one, there's a lot of work to it. And I just ask that you send these communities your prayers. They need your strength. They need your prayer to get through it. It's a very difficult situation to overcome, especially when you're in it. So one of the situations here in the Richmond area has made national news, and I know that the residents of that community, the families of that community, the team members, the medical director of that community would certainly love to hear that we're praying for them. Again, every single one of us has a role in flattening this curve. I could not be more proud of you over the last 24 hours. Every one of us has a role in being part of the solution. We are all in this together, and we are doing a great job here at Cedarfield. Over these next couple of days through the holidays, please be vigilant. I know we're going to have a lot of temptation to spend time with family, to try to leave the community. We had a couple situations today where families were coming with a van of family members wanting to go see residents. And it's a really important week as we're climbing that bell curve and flattening the curve right now. We are not at our peak, and I'm just asking that we're all really mindful and vigilant about staying at home in our apartments, practicing self-quarantining, and staying absolutely socially distant, as more than 6 feet away from each other. Don't let your guard down, please. Please, please, please. Okay, with that, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Annie's here. Annie Van Hook has some words of spiritual help for us.
Let us pray. Lord God, thank you for the gift of your love. I pray that you grant us your eternal hope, for you are the God of hope. Increase our faith. Allow us to remain encouraged during these challenging days. Give us your strength so that we will lean not upon our own understanding, but allow you to direct our path. I pray for an outpouring of love on the Cedarfield community, our local community, and the entire world. Show us how strong and mighty you truly are. Shower us with your love and blessings. Let us know that we are treasured and loved. We do not know where this path will lead us, but we ask that we remain into your love and that you continue to shower your love upon us, that you do not allow us to give in to fear, to anxiety, to the lack of understanding as we go towards our new normal. We ask that you will lead us in that direction and that we will follow, knowing that with you all things are possible and that this too will pass. We trust in you, and it is in Jesus' name that I do pray. Amen. And as we reset, I invite you to tune in to channel 971 for our Monday, Thursday program at 4 p.m. Thank you.